how are you currently getting more clients online? Or how are you currently getting more clients when your salespeople are unable to go out?
Today here I have with me Eugene Cheng. He is the co-founder of HighSpark and Motion Source, and he is also a Forbes study under 30. So yeah, Eugene, please introduce yourself. What do you do? And yeah,
Introduce myself. Didn't you just do the introduction?
more about what
Can
you do. Yeah.
Sure. So at HighSpark, we specifically help sales and marketing leaders to get clear on what's their brand narrative so that they can stand out in a very crowded market. Motion Source, I would say, does something along the same lines, but more using the medium of video,
Mm-hmm.
film, and all that. Yeah, mainly that lah. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So the other day we met up for like dinner. So you shared with me about your journey when you started out, right? Can you dive a bit more into that when you first started out after, was it after or during the poly? Yeah, can you share more about that?
Sure. So for the story itself, I think it's been written on quite a lot of places. Yeah. So if anyone wants a deeper dive into it, I think we've told reporters this a couple of times. But basically, the journey started when I was a student in Neon. We realized that we had a special little skill that was quite valuable, at least in the business context, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was we could put together presentations that were quite, I guess, impactful versus what our friends could put together at the time. And what happened was there were a few people who reached out to me when I started putting my work online, and the rest is history. We started getting a lot of random people calling. There was this one instance where someone from a large Japanese ad agency suddenly phoned into my line, and I was sitting in my school canteen, and he's like, "Hey, can you come in tomorrow? We'll pay you and everything." And then I'm like, "Oh goodness, so scared." Thought it's a scam, right? So I told him, "Hey, maybe let me call you back later." So I put
Mm-hmm.
on the phone. I called one of my lecturers, and I asked him, "Oh goodness, what should I charge?" And I still remember he said, "Oh yeah, you go ahead and charge $50 per hour." And to a student, that was a lot of money, right? So I was pretty scared. And what happened next was I called him back and I said, "Hey, $50 an hour can not?" He said, "Can." Wow, celebrate. Right. We bought some chicken rice or something with me and my friends. And I spent the next couple of months at the ad agency, working directly with the CEO at the time. And yeah, I mean, that was the very first interaction with a client ever. And from there, it just started moving a certain way. Then I got with my partner Kai Sing, got her on board and started working on this together.
Nice, nice. So how old were you back then when you started out? Or when you got your first
Wow,
client?
19. I was 19.
19. Okay.
Oh shoot, that's actually a lot of years back. Leh. Jialat.
Okay. Afterwards, did you you didn't continue to uni, right? You decided to pursue high spark.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, my parents very. I mean, they really wanted me to go. It's a very Asian parenting. They weren't. They didn't really have an opportunity for higher education, so they wanted it for myself and my sister. And they said, "Hey, boy, you better go and study." My dad even said, "Before I die, and if I do die, I want to make sure behind me, I got this degree on the wall
Oh,
that I can look at, see and feel good." So,
okay.
in the end, of course, Kai Sing and I both decided to
Mm.
take a step back and just try to focus on the business rather than going to school. Although we did secure places in university, it was a heavy decision. And I'll be honest with you, I kind of told a little white lie to my parents. I told them, "Hey, tell you what, like give me a year. I'm just gonna go and work, make a bit of money. Then maybe after that I'll go lah."
Okay.
Yeah, but I think a couple of years down, we were doing okay wise, income wise, and they never really started to ask me anymore about it anymore. So we just left it as that. Even till today, we never really approached the topic. And slowly we start to see a transition, right, where they start to say, "Hey, boy, thank you for dinner. When we haven't paid yet. So I had to start paying for dinners and all. That's the worst. Yeah, I should have said something.
Oh, that. So that's how you convince your parents to not go uni, and for you to not go uni.
I think it's quite relevant for you, Thaddeus, because you're
Yes.
thinking of not staying in school anymore. Again, I mean, they come from a good place, right? They want you
Yeah.
to have good job prospects. They want you to be safe, and this is the pathway that they have known to be quite reliable lah, in their
Yeah.
baby boomer period. Everyone got degree, and that means either doctor, lawyer, or whatever they may be. So I think the way that we managed to convince them was in the end, if you sound like you have a plan, and the plan is sort of working out, I don't think they'll be on your back, right? Unless it's more of a pride thing. It differs from family to family, but I hope for your sake you'll find a way to to make that transition.
Okay. But for your story, were you thinking of like, maybe I should continue with studies in a uni, then maybe afterwards I continue with high spark, etc. Like what was going through your head?
Well, it was really tough, I'll be honest with you. Reason being because I had a lot of friends who were just going to university, finished their army, and they were getting jobs already. So for Kaising and myself, I would say it was quite scary because everybody is moving ahead in life, and you're just kind of here. We didn't even know whether it would work out. So there was a lot of fear. That was one thing. The second thing is we were thinking of it, oh, okay lah, if it doesn't work out these 2 years, maybe we just go back to school. But at that point, I feel like we've committed so much time to it that just couldn't imagine ourselves going back to school all of a sudden, right? That's it. I did have a closet dream to teach, so I wanted to at most go back to school, get a degree so that I could teach. But I think along the way, Nian was one of the more open institutions that let me teach part time. So I part time lecture at Nian now. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, interesting. So that time when you first got your first ever client at the Japanese ad agency, um, how was it like? Because that time you're quite young and you were probably facing a client, and you mentioned you were working directly with the CEO, right? Which is probably
Yeah.
so how was the, like, for example, you have to give him directions into how he should pitch or whatever. How was it like?
Trust me, the first client I was giving no directions. I was directed. Yeah,
Okay.
it's more like it, right? I would turn up at the office, and I mean the person that was managing me or I was helping would be so stressed out that he would go and smoke every other hour. It was quite interesting. In fact, I still keep in touch with him, and sometimes we chat and all that. And of course, back then working with the CEO was quite intimidating. This guy is just sort of had like an aura. He gave me like 3 or 4 different business cards, all a different color, and he was telling me that he's the only one in the company that can have more than one color of his card. It's quite a weird story, but it was a good experience. Overall, I think that gave me a lot more confidence that this was a service, or this was something that someone who was so senior, who had a lot of experience, could trust someone like myself with, and we probably had something special. We just didn't know it yet.
Nice. So that time it was you and Kaising already that were working with
Uh,
this.
Not no, just myself.
Just yourself.
What happened was after this incident, then I went back to her and I said, "Hey, Kai Xing, we could probably do something about this. We could leverage this talent that you and I have. We could start a business or something. Uh, we're not boyfriend and girlfriend. I'm going to get married soon, but I had to sort of court her, right? I had to ask her a number of times because she's quite a busy person, colors award winner and all that back in school, quite a high achiever. So it was very hard to get her on board, but in the end, we managed to do it with persistence.
Nice. Okay, so after like you got your first client, what happened after? Like, did you go out to find new clients or like you got referrals? What was it like?
We started putting our work up on this platform that now is sort of like defunct. It's called SlideShare. All right, SlideShare was
SlideShare.
acquired by LinkedIn, and LinkedIn was acquired by Microsoft, and then none of them basically leveraged it, and now it's bought back over by Scribd. I don't know how to pronounce the word. SCRIBD, right?
Okay.
So we just posted some of our stuff there, and I guess it was validation, right? A lot of people voted for the things that we were doing, and it kept getting like this thing. They used to call it like SlideShare of the day. So thousands of people would see it. Out of thousands of different things uploaded, they would pick ours to be like the top 3 for that week or something like that. So that happened, I think, 10 or 20 times. So we were getting so many leads. Like, I remember way back when we didn't even understand the concept of leads to us whenever we posted something. So
Yeah.
we didn't manage to leverage all the leads, and we never managed to service every single one of them. But we got a few of our initial clients from the platform, right? So just too bad lah. Of course, now looking back so many years, like, wow, could have made so much money if I just spoken to these people. Yeah.
Okay. Well, nice. So, right now you have been working high spark for quite a while. So, what would you say, like, throughout the past, how many years?
Oh man, it's been, I think, 6, 7 years at
Six,
least.
7 years. Okay. So, what are the top, let's say, top 3 challenges that you faced in the business, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, I'm going to give you some generic ones, then I'm going to try to give you some interesting ones. Okay, the first generic one is, of course, when you start out young. That in itself is a challenge. As you can see, I still look quite young, right? So because of
I
that,
saw
when
that
we
wink.
first Yeah, because when we first started, right, I looked
Yeah.
even younger than I do now, and it was quite difficult, especially for Kaising and myself. We would meet certain clients that are 3 times our age, 2 times our age. Last time 3 times still possible. Now maybe 3 times a bit hard, yeah. And they would basically say, "Hey, dude, you're younger than my son. You know, how am I supposed to trust you to do my stuff?" And it was hard, lah. I'll be honest, the real first group of clients that gave us a chance were really open-minded, and they were actually Caucasian. Like you
Okay.
see a lot, I mean Singapore, say more lah, huh? But there were a lot of Caucasian people that gave us the opportunity upfront to try some of the work that we did. And another challenge was because we didn't look the part of what you would look for in a consultant,
Okay.
we weren't able to charge a premium on what we were doing.
Mm.
So we were charging like what, do one presentation, we're charging like what, $500 or something like that.
Okay.
But now there are presentations that go up to like 10, 20,000. We can do that also, right? So that's like 20 times what we were charging when we were much younger. A reason being because we didn't understand our clients, we didn't really
Yeah.
know how to charge, we didn't really know how to do any of that. So yeah, that was one of the main challenges, I think, getting past the age thing. The second challenge, I think, mainly is, as a young entrepreneur, you don't really have anyone telling you what to do, and that can be a scary thing. You're so used to a certain flow, a certain school telling you, oh, this is your timetable. Go for
Yeah.
lesson A, then go lesson B, or you have your teachers giving you directions, but a lot of it you have to kind of figure out on your own. So generally, that level of uncertainty for someone who's really, really fresh to it, and you didn't know where to find the good mentors also, you would tend to get a bit lost. But I think we were really lucky along the way. We met a lot of very seasoned entrepreneurs that really took us in, and no one really tried to take advantage of us, which is great, right? Everyone see us young, for some reason want to help us. It's very interesting thing. They're like, oh wow, you look so vulnerable and stupid. Maybe we should help you out. It's great, right?
I see.
And they're so generous, lah. And I think one other challenge, like I said, is familiar. Is how can you balance your time, because it can get really addictive to just get in that grind. When you're young, you have all this energy, right? And you just want to do everything
Yeah.
yourself. You want to save money. You want to just work at it, work until 10 a.m., 12 a.m. every day for weeks, for months, for years, no break, and you're fine with it because you can bear. But to be
Yeah.
honest, as you get a bit older, like if you're as old as I am now, you're just like, so exhausted already, right? And of course, throughout the course of getting there to where we are now, we had to expand the team. So now we have about 9 people in High Spark, we have about 6 to 7 people in Motion Source. So the pressure of knowing that there are a few people who are relying on you for their payroll, for
Yeah.
to help them achieve their dreams and their own lifestyles. That's something that's weighing on my mind and Kaising's mind, every other. Maybe not. Maybe she's more relaxed about it, which is okay, right? But we have to plan ahead, not just for ourselves, but it's sort of like you suddenly have kids when you're not ready for it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think those are just the thought process if you want to run a team. Yeah.
So, like, compared to when you guys first started out versus now, right? There is a big difference. One, you were just, kind of like a small team, 2-man team, maybe 3-man. Right now, you're managing 9 plus 7. So, what is, like, the biggest difference?
I think the biggest difference is you need to be very careful with your resources. One is, of course, whatever cash you may have. Two is what you choose to spend your time on, right? So I think the mindset shift that you need is that you cannot be doing everything anymore, right? For example, Thaddeus, you're going to edit this video. My suggestion is don't edit it yourself. or as you go along, try not to do it anymore,
Yeah.
right? Because all these things can be systemized, as some of our mutual friends will tell you, right? And you want to have someone doing the lower value tasks so you can focus on the higher value tasks, because your time is limited. And you might feel like you have energy now, but you won't have the energy forever. One of the things I regret not doing is creating these SOPs early. It's going to take time, but you will find that in the long term, you will really benefit from it, right? The next thing is, I think, when you're scaling a team, the mindset shift is very different, because no longer are you just doing it for yourself, right? You have to be very comfortable with not ever being the face of the company anymore, to let someone else take the spotlight, right? For some people, it's a bit hard because they have a bit of an ego, or certain clients just like you more, and they always request for you. But if you have that going on, then you can never scale the company, right? So in our case, I think one of our first steps was we wanted to separate ourselves from the brand, and we also wanted to make um, the brand be able to fit a certain perception that the clients were looking for, or they're willing to pay a premium for, right? So initially, the company was named something else. It was called like Slide Comet or something. Really, really crappy name that we used to call it when we were back in school, right? So we started to realize that clients associated that with, oh yeah, you just do slides because there's a name, right?
Okay.
So we changed the name, And the process of changing the name was also quite lame. We just came up with 200 names, then we slowly remove and
Slowly
we
filter.
asked, yeah, slowly filter. Then we asked friends like, hey, which one do you like? Then we came out with 5, and we just chose one.
Okay.
Of course, the name no one liked it at first, but now it's becoming a name that clients say that they quite like. So it's great, right? And yeah, I think so. In the way that we describe ourselves, in the way that we need to have a different mindset in how we run the business, right? In the end, it is what it is. You used to hold these ideas very dear. You used to think, okay, like this is my company, this is my baby, and I need to spend all the time with it, and I need to do all these things on my own, and you want to take control of everything. But the counterintuitive thing is that to really gain more control, then you have to give up more control.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do. You have to give up more control
Yeah,
to
yeah.
people and make sure that you have less and less. Because eventually, do you really want to work in the company forever? I mean, if it's a service company, right? Probably not. Let's be honest with ourselves. Even in organizations like tech companies or startups that we have our clients that they run it, right? They are still a part of it, but they aren't handling, the day to day.
Yeah.
They're focusing on making the deals. They're focusing on creating new systems or opening up new markets, and those are the things should be focused on. Some people will say, and we've gotten this a lot, hey, you do this thing cannot scale. It's true. There will be certain kinds of business models that simply just can't scale in the way that you're thinking about. And for some other people, that's what they want. But specifically for Kaising and myself, I think we don't see ourselves not doing anything, because in the end, maybe it's a millennial thing, huh? Don't do anything very sian, isn't it? Like you get very bored. So in
Yeah.
the end, we want to make sure that we create an environment
Mm.
that things can still run. There's a quality that's maintained, but you have a choice. I think the most powerful thing is you have a choice, and that
Yeah.
should be the goal for everyone. Not to stop working, because you'll get really bored. You can ask anybody who's tried early retirement. It's not fun. Yeah.
Mm.
In the end, you want to have a choice. You can choose not to work if you don't want to, but you just do it anyway. You do what you like. Yeah.
Mm. So just now you mentioned about allocation of resources. So right now, like, what is your role in the company? Is it like the CEO, or is it like, maybe I think I saw like Google, like you're the lead creative or something like that, creative
Yeah.
leads. So what is your
Good,
like?
good, 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 good question. So I think the role just kind of stuck. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not really doing a lot of creative work anymore. Right.
Mm.
So the way it's split up between Kaising and myself, Kaising mainly handles the training up right now, where we educate a lot of different clients like Mastercard, some government institutions as well, and I focus more on the consulting work. So
Yeah.
we have that sort of split going for us, because I think people like her better, lah, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the consulting side of things, I don't always do the day-to-day fulfillment, although I do like to take a look at it. I just kind of like to do it. Yeah. I usually speak to new clients, talk to new leads, kind of figure out whether we can deepen our relationships with some of the clients that we like and that we actually want to be partners with for the long term. So that will be things that I'm focusing on, right? The things that don't scale, like talking to the different clients and trying to see whether we can extend the lifetime value of our work with them, right? So that's really one of my main focuses. Previously, it used to be I don't talk to anybody, Kaising will talk to everybody. Yeah, it used to be that way because it's just us two, right? So Kaising used
Yeah.
to be the people person. She'll speak to the clients, make them happy, bring in the work, and I'll be focused on doing marketing work, right? Like I'll be making our website, doing SEO, doing guest posts, all this kind of stuff that actually is quite fun and I quite enjoy. But in the end, like I said, like as if you want to run the business, you have to make a tough decision. Either do the things that are important yourself, or get someone else who's able to do it, and then you go and do something else. Yeah, I mean it's a tough thing, but if not, how you gonna make money, right?
So on the topic of allocation of resources, right now, is there any like specific framework that you use to allocate manpower, allocate resources, allocate cash?
Good question. So again, depends on your goals, right?
Yeah.
Everything boils back down to what you see it going to in the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. For our case, I think we're quite conservative with growth in general, right? So we aren't like spending heaps of money to hire like 20 people, although maybe we could, right? Our goal is to keep our agency specifically a boutique size because as any agency owner will tell you, once you hit a certain amount of people, it will sort of plateau. Your margins will be reduced. You can't give the same amount of attention to your people. Your clients also you may have to give individual project managers to each of them also. So it really depends, right? If you're going down that route, for us, you can either scale more and seek an exit or something. But I think specifically for Kaising and me, we see ourselves going down the route of we want to build a strong team a team that can run on its own, a team that can create new, better things for our clients, but then stop there, right? For us, we want to reclaim our time
Okay.
and possibly also pursue other interests that we have while still maintaining a little bit of our presence within the company to ensure that strategically it grows at a very steady pace. To answer your question as to whether there's a rule of thumb,
Yeah.
generally there are, right? In terms of basic things like, cash at bank, you want a 6 months kind of reserve in case
Yeah.
anything goes wrong, like COVID and everything. Like, when COVID happened, uh, I got very, very nervous, right? And so we already had a talk with our staff. We say, you better prepare, prepare your hearts because we don't know how this is going to go. But we have
Okay.
a safe amount of cash that we'll probably be able to tide through, even if there was no clients coming back. But lo and behold, obviously because of some of our coaches as well, we've been able to pull through and in fact, I think emerge stronger from
Nice.
COVID rather than suffer from it, right? So in terms of how to scale and when you should start hiring your first person, it really depends, right? Like, what's your vision also? In the end, you will scale. Let's say if yourself that is, you want to be a loan consultant and you want to make a pretty good amount of money, you can do that. You can still, because you might want to scale in the way that you get people to do the mundane, repetitive tasks like administration. You probably can get a good virtual assistant from the Philippines or something to do that at a pretty reasonable cost. And that would be one of the first things that you might want to look at, right? At the same time, maybe you want to hire someone to automate your sales process or answer inquiries. Basically, do the things that still have to be done, but don't really drive a lot of value. Then generally, I would do that first, right? In terms of fulfillment, like I said, it boils down to, as one of my friends would say, what's your vision, right?
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself going? And within the next couple of years, do you want to see yourself in a position where you can shake leg every day, go on the beach and sip pina colada? Some people want to do that, and that's fine, right? Then they may also have to be okay with not making a lot of money, which is okay. Like, they have a certain goal that they set.
Yeah.
And that's to each his own. And we shouldn't force our perspective on anybody as to what they want to do, right? And let's say even as a business owner, if you really want to scale like crazy and you want to grow and in the end you are going to be growing the company 2 times, 3 times each year, then the way you hire and the way you do that will be quite different also. I mean, I can give some examples of that, but at the same time, it has to be contextual. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, just now you were speaking of COVID. So how did you kind of pivot or adapt when like the phase one or phase two came? Because the phase one, everyone was locked down, like you couldn't meet clients. How did you guys adapt?
Okay, so that's a good question, and I think it's quite relevant, and I've been asked it a couple of times. The first thing is we we had to do a lot of reflection. I'll be honest with you. When we first kind of hit this moment of realization, like, oh man, we're screwed. Now we got some problem here because the leads are going to evaporate, and we used to get a lot of leads inbound. Like,
Yeah.
literally, Kaising and me would just sit down and we shake our leg, and suddenly got leads. It's
Nice.
ridiculous. It's because of years and years of us spending our time doing guest posts, doing marketing, content in general, and people just are able to find us organically, right? So we've been able to do that pretty well. But what we were lacking in is really just staying top of mind with our clients, which we're trying to do more of now. But it took us, I think, the crisis to really realize that this was what that was needed to be done. Very odd, right?
Yeah.
So we got a few epiphanies. One thing is that, yes, we do sell a lot of presentation services, but in the end, the clients are able to leverage that into different kinds of mediums. So one insurer client that we've gotten has now leveraged our expertise in that area to run a few of their campaigns, making it much easier for agents to translate their narratives into something that the customer can understand. So we found that basically that missing gap in their current agency's offerings, as well as the way that they're currently running their business. And we said, hey, instead of just offering presentations, maybe we should just pitch it in this way. In this way that a couple of things are right. One thing is that is relevant to them. Even though it's COVID, what do companies still need? They still need to generate business, still need to generate sales, right? So are we able to transition into that perspective? Because it's true. It's not that we're promising things that we can't deliver. It's just that we've never been so aggressively just saying that we're going to do that for this purpose. But that's what has been relevant to the client. So the angle of that is changed. The second thing is, like I said, when we are having these conversations now, we're not thinking about the first engagement. We're thinking about the third and fourth engagement already. And I think for an agency perspective, that's going to be more important because then you have that longevity. Like I said, I mean, Kaising and I have been very fortunate that we haven't really had to try too hard. I'll be very frank, like, we're so blessed that we just didn't have to try too hard. I know some people will watch this and they'll feel like, wow, this guy is the worst, right? He's had good opportunities, but he's saying like, it's easy. I'll be honest, it hasn't been difficult, but it will be. So now we are planning ahead. We know that good times won't always last, right? So you have to be prepared. You have to have multiple channels in ways that you can get new clients, that you can get new business, and don't be closed out towards the ways that you can provide holistic services to your clients, so you can help them in more than one area. But of course, all these need to be within what you can do,
Yeah.
and then you need to ensure that this delivery model is very seamless. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So apart from COVID, so like from phase one, where everyone was like stuck at home, people were working from home, and right now phase two to even soon phase three, right? Do you see like any shifts in like in your client space or like people's kind of purchasing behavior?
Oh, for sure. I think it's very clear. I mean, especially if you're based in Singapore, like, you can
Mm,
see that during the lockdown, you go out, you don't see nobody there. But now you go and buy lunch, well, you cannot even get into the queue. It's quite ridiculous, right?
mm,
So just based on, I mean, increased consumer spending,
yeah.
eventually it bleeds to the corporations that we serve as well. People are still spending money. They have not stopped spending money at all. In fact, some of them are spending even more money. It's just in what areas are they spending money now? It's quite different from what they used to spend on before. So some of the things, like I've noticed that I think some of the small businesses like us, or agencies, or anyone running a consulting business can tap on, is definitely isolate the new challenges that have appeared because of COVID, right? It could be digitalization trends. It could be basically surviving and stopping your company from closing down, right? So I'll give you an example. I have this personal coaching client, and he runs an event consultancy business. Then you must be thinking, hey, events jialat confirm cannot make any money, isn't it? Because they all don't have money and they're not spending. But
Mm,
I will share with you that he already has made $75,000 in 1.5 months, when he set it to only reach there by December,
mm,
because people are still buying stuff, but they're only buying the things that are crucial for them to thrive or survive, depending on what stage they're in, right?
mm,
If you have more money and you're having clients right now, of course you want to grow. If you are not growing and you're dying, of course you want to buy
yeah,
the cure to your survival, right?
yeah.
So I think it depends on how we frame it, and it depends how you're reaching out to them and on which platform, in what context. That's
Mm,
going to be super, super important, because of course, if you're just coming in and you're forcing your services, you're not going to get it, lah,
yeah.
right? So, I think for us to leverage this opportunity, because I really think it's an opportunity, you'll want to go down that route. I'll be
Mm,
honest with you. I mean, I was in a really bad place during COVID period. I was down $70,000 in the stock markets.
okay.
It's quite ridiculous, right? But so I was losing my head, man, right? I was talking to a lot of different friends, and in the end, I didn't do anything. And of course, in the end, the market has recovered, lah, right? That's it. I should have just doubled down. I would have made so much money, but who knows, right? So
Did you
I
enter
think
more? Didn't.
I didn't. Just a little bit, lah, but I should have, right?
Okay.
So again, I think we only learn these things on hindsight, because our first crisis anyway.
Mm,
But I think the learning point for me was, when crisis hits, as long as we're all still alive and
yeah.
nobody dies, there will always be opportunities, but you have to be open to listen. If not, you'll miss out on them completely, right?
Mm,
So I think specifically for consultants, for coaches like ourselves, who are now moving into this new world that we're in, I think it's pretty good. You don't have to. I used to have to go out and meet clients all the time. Wow, drive here, drive there, or like, go and meet at a coffee shop. I could only meet like 5 clients a week max. Now I can meet 5 clients a day,
nice.
right? Because you can just do it digitally, right? So
Yeah.
that's one of the great things. I'll be honest, some of the clients that we got during this period, I've never seen their face at all. I'll be honest, like some of them, they turn off the camera also, because their
Okay.
kids are running around going crazy at home, right?
Okay.
So I've never seen their face, but they bought from us. They're happy with the services, and we continue to just go into
Mm,
that relationship. That's all. Yeah.
mm. Are people like expecting to pay lower, or are they like okay with paying like maybe even more premium? What's the experience with your side?
Sure. Uh, it's sorry. I think there's some weird notifications. I'm going to turn it off.
No worries. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you can cut that part out.
Okay.
So my experience with that is, they haven't really asked for a discount. It's quite interesting. So far with the clients that we work with, in fact, they're paying more than usual. It's very
Okay.
odd. Like I said, I think if you have a proposition that is very
Mm,
relevant to the current climate and is relevant to them, then I mean, as long as the ROI and the value add is there, they don't have a good reason to ask for a discount lah. And if they do, they better have a good reason because I'll make them feel really bad about it after. Yeah,
Okay, understand. Okay, so back to phase one, when everything was on lockdown, everyone was working from home, including your team, right? So, was there a big shift, or was there something that was there a big change that you had to adapt to? Because previously you're probably working in office, and right now your team is working virtually or from home. Was there like any challenges that you faced, and how did you like manage your team?
sure. So I mean, I'll share just vaguely, right? We actually hit new highs in our top line revenue for the financial year after COVID finished, like just nice, you know. So I don't have much to complain about. The only sad thing was we started our rental for an office just before lockdown.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, so I mean, we're wasting money on that. But other than that, actually, it's been much better. Of course, you don't feel the warmth of your colleagues here and there, but they've indicated that some of them just like working at home. And in fact, they get more stuff done at home. So
Mm,
it's really quite odd. One of the things is that I want to point out, which I don't think is a challenge, but more of a trend that I've spotted also is there's no people don't do networking events anymore, or not very much.
mm,
Basically, it's illegal if you have more than like 5 or 9 people in a room,
yeah.
depending on the amount of space. So everybody's on LinkedIn now. Like literally anybody that you can think of that's in the corporate space, that's even running a small business, is on LinkedIn. And if you're not leveraging it to get in front of these people who used to be unreachable and are now just 2 clicks away, then I really suggest that you go and look at it because there's a whole opportunity, a gold mine opportunity hidden right there for you to develop relationships, there are conversations with people who you previously could never ever meet. And in fact, it's the encouraged way for you to meet people now. So,
Mm.
definitely take a look at that.
Nice. Interesting. So, like, do you prefer, or have you seen like, I mean, for your team, right? Have you seen productivity increased while working from home? And like, have you considered maybe, I just an idea, like maybe half of your team working from home, or even your whole team working virtually?
Sure. I think moving forward, working from home is still going to be the default. There will be some people who find working from home not so ideal lah. So right
Mm.
now, the way we do it is we have a few colleagues who still come back to the office every, twice a week or something like that. And I mean, there's only like 4 people or 2 people at the office at any one time. So I think it's pretty safe, and they feel more productive there. And some people just feel more productive staying at home and not really coming to the office at all. But we have like a small little gathering maybe every month once or
Mm.
something. And I really feel that's working out for me. Just that the office is very empty lor. But I really don't see why we shouldn't keep it because it's
Mm.
I would say they become more productive, and they become happier also because the flexibility is quite good lah. You can spend some time with your family. You don't want to spend time with your
Mm.
family, then you go out and you go for lunch. You wake up late, no one knows. As long as you get work done, I think we're quite flexible in that way, and they appreciate it. Yeah.
Same. Like for me, I used to work at a co-working space with my team. Then the phase one came. We stopped working at the co-working space. Then right now we're all working from home, and I plan to leave it, keep it that way because it's productivity is so high right now.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
future, man. It's the
yeah,
future.
interesting. Okay, so next question I have for you is when you first started out, right? It was again like a small team, and then you started hiring people, right? Your team members. Was there any difficulty on managing your team because you have to like kind of evolve to like a CEO role, right? So
For sure, for
yeah,
sure. Okay, so maybe I can share initially like, okay, I'm just gonna contextualize it to
yeah,
people who are starting out younger because I think that is a bit unique. If not,
yeah,
you'll get very similar responses, right? So when you're starting out younger, the difficulty is when you hire someone who's around your age, or when you hire someone who's not around your age. Wow, then that's gonna be a bit challenging, right? So again, for us it was quite straightforward because we hire people that are all around how old we are. Like now this year I
mm,
turned 27 in a couple of months, right?
mm,
And we hired this other guy who's also 27, our designer, right? And he's been with us for like 4 years now. And initially I think it's hard to draw the line. How chummy do you want to be with your staff, and how strict do you want to be, right? So we made the mistake of being a bit too chummy, and also sometimes a bit too professional about certain things, right? And it can feel a bit weird because these people are like your friends or like
Yeah.
your second family of sorts. I'm sure they enjoy it, but if you don't draw the lines clear enough, how are you going to get them to do stuff when they do need to do something, right? So I think initially identifying the right people, not just based on their aptitude, but also culture fit was very important for us. And yes, we take a bit longer to hire than most people, but if you go to our Glassdoor page, I mean, it's working out. People are happy about it, right? Because we've heard about firms where there's always a polar response, right? Let's say you go to a smaller company, you might have maybe five, six people, but the responses, if you ask whether they're happy, are very different. You can have someone who's really, really, really happy, and you can have someone who's like, oh wow, I really hate this place. I can't wait to leave. They're paying me nothing, and the boss is terrible, not handsome. I want to leave. So yeah, I think the challenge that we had initially was you need to be able to draw the line very specifically, especially when you're younger and you're not so sure and you're hiring someone around your age. And also you need to have the right mindset when you're hiring someone older as well, right? There needs to be a certain mutual respect that you have for your staff. And you also need to be willing to let go, especially initially when you're hiring, when you're first starting your business. Because we have this perfectionist problem, especially initially, right? You just want to do everything yourself because it can never get to the standard that you want. Yeah, but like I told you before, right? You cannot control everything. If not, you cannot grow your business. That's all. So yeah, I think getting past that mindset initially was a bit tough for us. But once we did that, and this might sound a bit rudimentary to a lot of very seasoned business owners, lah. But for the new ones, I think it's quite useful. Yeah.
At the start, did you hire like, you know, maybe part-timers, interns, or you just went all out, hire full-timers?
Oh, we went with interns first, but I think you will start to realize, and most of us will start to realize that interns have their drawbacks, right?
Yeah.
The way that I think we've evolved to think about it. We had another friend who hired like an army, like 10 interns. And we knew that didn't work out because in the end they're gonna leave you. They're gonna
Yeah.
leave you 4 months in, 6 months in. And then all this time that you spend teaching them, setting up these systems is for nothing. Yeah. And the mindset of the interns are also quite different. You can get really good people, right? You can. It's not that you can't. But you cannot have your whole workforce reliant on temporary stuff.
Yeah.
It's not going to work out. Plus, what's your perspective? Are you trying to cop a bargain here and keep these people and not pay them what they're really worth? Then that's a bit toxic also, lah, huh?
Yeah.
As you go along, you might find that you see people as things, not so much as people themselves. So that's not so great. Yeah. So I think moving along, interns are great when you need a bit of extra hands to do a few extra things that it's like a new initiative or an experiment, because then it's very low cost and you don't risk that many things and you give them a good experience. But I will say this: if you have time to mentor the intern, go for it. If you don't have time to mentor the intern, you better not. We hired a couple of interns during COVID. I will say that the experience was very subpar because we didn't have time to spend training them in person. And it's very difficult to hire someone new, inculcate them and you don't spend a lot of face time with them to teach them things over digital. It's just quite difficult. Not say impossible, but it's much more difficult.
Okay. So it's virtual. You hire interns virtually.
No, we hired them and met them in person like once or twice.
Oh,
Then we
okay.
had to go on lockdown already.
Okay.
Yeah, but we have hired of course remote staff that are not in Singapore, and I mean those are still working fine. I mean they are already used to the nomadic remote lifestyle, and we have certain safeguards in place, and then they're happy with it also.
Okay. So when did you so you started out straight away hired wait, this time you mentioned you hired interns first, right?
Yeah, we tried that first. Then after that we decided, okay, let's get a full timer. Yeah,
Okay.
then after that we grew from there.
How did you decide who to hire first?
Okay, good question. Specifically for, let's say, our model, I mean, which only can scale in either you scale price or you scale the number of people, right? So it depends on your perspective. You can, especially when you're two people, us guys and me, right? Let's say we have complementary skill sets. And the minimum as a founder you want to have at least a bit of sales ability. If you cannot do that, very difficult. Yeah, you can't even bring in new business for yourself. It's very tough. So we'll focus on that. If you hire a new sales guy, then what is that? It's going to increase your capacity, right? So the point is, do you want to replace yourself first, or do you want to increase your capacity first, or both? Yeah, I mean, so let's say in our case, to increase our capacity at the time, we needed a designer, so we hired a designer first, so we could take on more work and make more of an income, start to save more money, because we were broke ass kids, man. Like we had no money. Like it's very tough. We weren't even taking a proper salary, so we were just saving all our cash. because if we had capital, of course we would hire people quicker lah, but we didn't, right? So we hired somebody, we got more projects in so that this person will be kept busy. Then we started to hire to replace more of the roles that we had.
Okay.
You see, so it's not that we don't have to do anything, but we basically double or triple ourselves in that sense, capacity wise, right? Then as we went along, I'll be honest with you, I mean, after we hired quite a number of people, there were some days where I would just sit at home and I not really sure what I'm doing. Like you had the luxury of just sitting there and not doing anything because things are moving, right? Yeah, I mean, of course, most people want to go to that state where you can go on holiday, you don't have to worry, right? But I'll be honest, I still worry lah. Yeah, just more of because people are working hard for us, and we also not that we hate our jobs, so it's best that we can help them out lah, here and there. But yes, in the end, it's either a capacity thing, or it's because you want to grow, right? So it's either for growth or for sustenance, where you're removing and reclaiming your time. So I think generally the hiring mindset for us is either one or the above, right? Let's say if our goal next year is we don't want to go to work anymore for some reason, right? Let's say shake leg and don't want. Yeah, if any of my staff are listening, I don't worry, I'll still come. Yeah, I'm just saying only. Then maybe we'll hire specific roles so that they cover a lot of our gaps or leftover, so that we don't actually have to do it or don't actually have to go to work because everything is run. You have your sales, you have your HR, if you have your fulfillment, whatever is, everything is covered. There's a whole process. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So like from the start to where you are right now, what was like the biggest mindset shift?
Okay, this is gonna sound damn lame. I'm just gonna tell you now. But the biggest mindset shift for me is that you need to spend on expertise to save your time. No, seriously,
spend on expertise.
Yes. Let me explain. So we are in the business of expertise, right? We sell our consulting services to help our clients get to a certain outcome, right? And it's great that they pay us, but I never had the mindset that I should pay someone else to save my time and save my effort until recently. Yeah. No, seriously, it's so stupid because we were selling expertise, but we weren't willing to pay other people for expertise. We thought, hey, you bloody waste money. Why can't I just learn it on my own? Because when you're an entrepreneur, you have to learn everything and you feel like you can learn these things yourself. And you can, but you trade time for it, no?
Yeah.
So once we're at a certain stage and now we manage people, right? The truth is the only thing we don't have is time. Not to say like we're super rich, but we have some money, right? So if we can get to a different level much quicker with the help of someone who's already been there, done that, then we should. And I regret not having that mindset earlier, right? In the end, the best investment is investment in knowledge in yourself so that you can shortcut these things. For example, let's say you want to learn B2b prospecting. And of course, we are quite well versed in it because we're in B2B, right? But if you had to learn it on your own without a coach or without someone to guide you on that, then you're going to take a lot of time. Yeah. So we shouldn't feel averse to spending money because sometimes you really have to spend money to make more money, right? You need to spend money to get clarity. You need to spend money to make the right decisions so that you don't end up running around in a circle. And I think that's the biggest mindset shift for me, which is very odd because you thought I would have come to it earlier. And I mean, like yourself, you're a bit woke about that. But we were always very averse to, going for any seminars, going for any of those specific kind of things where you think someone's going to teach you something and help you get to a certain point, but it just didn't appeal to us. We thought we could learn everything on our own. But the truth is, you shouldn't. It's quite a stupid thing to do. Yeah? You want to learn something, pay money and go and get it done, right? Yeah, that's all. I mean, have that perspective. Surely, some of these things that we paid for cost more than a university education. But the outcome is also very different.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Speaking of spending, so I'm curious, how do you train or let's say allocate resources, money to train your staff? Because you're in the business of course, like consulting, expertise, right? Selling knowledge. So how much like effort or how much time, resources, money do you spend on your team training them up?
Okay, that's interesting. Like I said, I think this epiphany moments have only come very recently. So as much as we've given them a lot of opportunities to learn, like we give them a budget, right? So maybe let's say each person, maybe within the year, maybe give them like a couple $100 or something, or like $500 or something. So then they can seek out different things that they want to go for. They want to go for online course. Now they cannot go offline course already. So if you want to go for an online course, then you can go ahead and do it, right? But I feel like now we are making it a bit more deliberate. We're seeking. So in the end, when you get to this stage, which hopefully you will, HR becomes a problem. What I mean by HR is things like compensation and benefits. How much should you pay? How do you ensure that someone's motivated moving on into the future? And we're getting it looked at by a professional. But some of the things that you can take note of is, of course, in the end, what keeps the person around, what retains them, what engages them, what ensures that they will continue to feel engaged as they stay on in the company for years. For Singaporeans, the number one thing is what? Guess.
Freedom.
It's money, like your backside.
But
Yeah, of course it's money, right? So it's, I mean, it's salary and all that. Of course, if you identify the right people, then I mean, freedom may be one thing, but most of the times, of course, having a good working environment, the variety of things that you can work on are actually part and parcel of that as well. But in the end, compensation and benefits. I used to think HR people in the MNCs sit there every day do nothing. I'll be honest, that's what I thought. Only now I know that actually it's quite difficult, and it's the last thing that business owners usually think about.
yeah.
How to create a good company culture, how to retain your staff, how to ensure that you can pay them as much as you can, but you don't break the bank for your company, so that they're very happy and they make even more money for you, right? That's the difficult part, the crack, which we're in the process of trying to do also. Part of that is also, how do you send them for upgrading, like you say? How do
Yeah.
you incentivize them moving into the future? And the funny thing is, sometimes people are not always motivated by money only.
Yeah.
There are so many different factors to it. So I think as you go along this journey, you'll discover that that's not all there is. And then you realize that, hey, if I want to do this for the long term, these are things that I need to be thinking about. Not just hiring the right people, but how to retain them, right?
Yeah.
I always say, CEO, find talent, retain talent, grow company. It sounds like, hey, yeah, I know. But when you actually try to do it, it's actually quite tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At what stage did you start hiring a HR?
Okay, so we didn't hire HR person. Now we're paying,
Okay.
and now, I mean, if you're in Singapore, just get an HR consultant, like a proper one, and use EDG, because, I mean, advertise or government, EDG gives you up to 80% back.
Okay.
So it's totally worth it if you are at a certain stage, you're about maybe 9, 11 people around there.
Okay.
It's worth to put this in place, because then you can plan towards operationalization or maybe a possible exit also, right? Because think about it this way. Let's say if you wanted to sell your company, I mean, we have our mutual friend Alvin who's managed to do that,
Yeah.
very famous, right? It's because he had systems in place that can run without him. Second thing is, he had HR policies, he had different levels of management and organizational structure that's already in place, that is just plug and play, right? So everything is built there, and to build that for a small business it's not as difficult, but it's also not so easy, right? So looking into that early is going to be quite valuable. Yeah.
So you've been in the business for about 6, 7 years. What are the stages of the business that you've seen yourself gone through? Like maybe the early startup, then maybe your first win, then after that, oh no, your first kind of loss, you feel a bit demotivated. What are kind of like the
Okay,
stages?
got it.
Yeah.
So stage 1, loser. Stage 2, less loser. Then as you go along, right? So at the beginning, like I said, I mean, we were just figuring things out.
Yeah.
We wanted other people to validate what we were doing. We weren't really sure about anything that we were doing, until a certain point where, hey, this is something that's validated, or what you call product market fit, if you think of it as a
Yeah.
tech startup perspective, but we're not tech, right? Where you find, hey, I have this thing that clients want. I'm sure of what their proposition is. Then that's one stage. Then the next stage is probably, how can I grow? And usually they call it like the growth stage, right? When you start to hire people, you start to spend money on acquiring more clients. And we also seen ourselves go through that in a very weird, passive kind of way. And of course, more clients then lead to, okay, how can we evolve our offerings to stay relevant and grow our bottom line from there, right? Then we're now at a stage where I think we are quite comfortable with the top line that we have. Maybe grow it a bit more. We'll be okay to just operationalize. So I'm just going to call this stage operationalize, right? Where we set processes in place, we have good people to take over the key roles, we create an org structure so that it can work independently of us. But if we don't want to, also can. We can go a lot of ways. But it's better to have it than not have it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, nice. Okay, so anyway, so just for the last few things, since you are in the storytelling presentation business, can you share maybe 2 to 3 tips on presentations, selling? Yeah.
On presentations. What kind?
Sales pitches.
Sales presentations. Okay. This one's quite interesting. Do you want B2C, B2B, B2B2C? I mean,
B2B.
okay, B2B is quite specific. That's good. So I'll recount particular conversation I had literally just today. I won't reveal this particular person, or I won't talk about any names, but essentially this person was in the corporate gifts industry, right? Hopefully nobody knows who I'm talking about, right? So his challenge was this, right? His challenge was he is able to sell, like, okay, you know what corporate gifts are? That is.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
great. So
so.
they make a bottle, then they put your logo on it or
Yeah,
what
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that, lah. Okay.
Okay, yep.
So they're able to sell small orders, like maybe you buy 60, 50 or whatever, right?
Mm.
But he said that his sales team, mind you, he has a sales team with 5 salespeople and 1 sales manager. Okay. He says that they are not able to close high ticket B2B deals.
Mm.
Basically, what happens is this: they will receive an email asking for a quote, they will send the quote via email, and then they don't receive a reply. Boom, finish.
Okay.
So a couple of things to note, specifically for B2B versus B2C. It's not so different, but there are certain nuances to it.
Mm-hmm.
First thing, in B2C, let's say you buy something, you buy like something from Lazada, you have somebody sell you something on the street at the retail shop, the Watsons, right?
Mm.
We tend to buy things that give us an upside. Okay, most of the time.
Yeah.
It's a very easy motivation to go with. I buy something, make my face smoother, great, I will buy it. I want to have a Korean complexion. That's one. For B2B, it's not so simple, because the decision-making process is a lot more risky for the person who wants to buy. I give you an example. Let's say yourself, okay, Thaddeus. Let's say you have 2 business partners. Just a small business example, okay? You have 2 business partners, okay? Do you have business partner, by the way?
No, as in, yeah, I don't have. I'm
Okay,
just
never mind.
yeah.
Then put it somewhere else. Let's say you work in a company, okay, and you're the marketing manager, whatever it is, okay. And let's say I came to you, and I am who I am, whatever lah. And I say, hey, Thaddeus, you like us, we like you, can you buy this shit from us, right? And then I say, hey, this is really really expensive. It's like maybe 30,000-40,000.
Mm.
So you're in a spot. So what do you do? Let's say you work in a company. Just imagine for a bit. What are you gonna do next? Let's say you really want to work with us.
Mm. So I have something to offer you, right? That's what I saying.
No. I'm selling you something. So
Oh.
you are working in a company.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
working in
I'm
a
selling
company.
you my services.
What
Correct.
would I do? I
Yeah,
would.
I mean, what do you have to do next? You want to buy it from me already. You already convinced it.
Yeah, I'll communicate with you lah. I'll text you or
Of
something.
course, you communicate with me, but you don't forget you're working in a company.
Oh,
This is not
okay.
your company, right?
Yeah, I gotta ask
So in
whoever's
yeah,
on top of me.
correct. So if you have to ask this guy, that's another barrier already. That's going to make it harder for me to win the deal, right? If I didn't brief you well and give you the right pitch that is articulate, that gives you the right pointers, that lets you pitch to your boss, I'm screwed. I confirm lose already. There will
Okay.
be another 5 or 6 different people that you have compared to, because every organization generally needs you to get a few quotations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with B2B, even the buying motivation is very different. We buy based on pain. You see, you come here and tell me, hey, dude, I can increase your productivity by 100%. Then I'll be like, what the fudge? I mean, okay lah, I'll think about it, right? But if you're coming to me and telling me, hey, every month you're losing $10,000,
Mm.
but you can work with me, I'll stop that pain. Very different. B2B focuses on pain. That's why there's an urgency. Yeah, because if not, you can just sit there and do nothing. People are very lazy. It's the worst. Okay, so from a B2B angle, that's one you need to discover, right? What's causing them so much urgent pain that they will pay and have to do something. That will be the best angle to enter, right? Second thing is then, who are you speaking to versus who they are reporting to? This is something that's interesting. So again, I'm sharing with you this first because that gives you the context for
Yep.
how you apply it, right?
Yep.
So the first person is, like, let's say yourself, you work for a company, right? So I need to emotionally be able to captivate you. You like me, you think we got chemistry, you think I'm cool, I fit the criteria that you asked for. But now I need to worry about your boss, because your boss has never met me. So one thing I need to do, and this is one of the takeaways for you, is I need to discover who the real decision maker is very quickly. But I cannot do it in a pushy way. Like I say you like some third like that, like, hey, who's the decision maker? So I might ask in an open-ended way. Who else might have to make a decision on this, or who else might have something to say about this, right? And then you will say, oh yeah, this person. Then I'll say, okay, great. Let's do a next call. You can include this person in that call as well, right? So in B2B versus B2C, you generally want to have more conversations with the person if it's a high ticket item. Then you have more chances that they'll buy, because if they weren't interested in you, you think they'll have more calls with you, may waste your time only, waste their time also,
Yeah.
right? So that's one of the distinctions, right? We need to come in at the right angle, and we need to be able to ensure we speak to the right person and give them the right piece of information. So that's the thought process. Now comes the tips, exactly what we said, right? So how I like to bring this up, or at least specifically in the B2B pitch, let's say if for the things that we help our clients with, is I like to talk about a shift. So what's a shift? And I actually have shared this with our coaching group before. I mean, the one that you and I are in, right? And I think they liked it. In the end, all your potential B2B clients or our clients, you think they never hear about your thing before? I mean, they have, right? Let's say I'm selling a phone line services, then you call them, they cannot see your number or this kind of caller ID or some rubbish like that, right? So generally now, corporate solutions are geared towards solving a certain problem. But people may not believe that they have this problem, or they may not buy into that argument. So what I like to introduce is what I call shift, right? And this is something we teach our clients also. A shift is something that indicates that the world is moving in a certain direction. It could be a trend, it could be something that's happening from an old world to a new world where the thing will be changed completely, unrecognizable, right? In the old days, last time policemen wear shorts, now policemen don't wear shorts anymore, right? Yeah, but in this case, let's say we contextualize it to a specific platform, right?
Yeah.
We could say that in the end, the push factor is what? If you stand to lose something, what do businesses care about? Getting more customers,
Yeah.
or their customers leaving them, right? So let's say if I had to sell something in sustainability, I would say 60% of your customers are asking for sustainable options. That's a shift, right? That's something that you know is happening, is going to happen, but haven't happened yet. But if you don't act now, you will be in a place where you miss that wave, you're screwed, right? So that gives you a sensing. Then I'll show you what the current people are doing. I mean, what current people are doing, and why they are losing, because they never do this way. And then I'll show you the other way that all the good people do. That's why they win, right? So then you see the contrast in those ways, and I'll say we're basically sharing a solution that will help you be in the winning category, right? So then that's a good segue in terms of structuring a B2B pitch, right? If that's the pitching round already.
Yep.
Whereas the whole process leading up to that, the contextualization is going to be super important, because if you don't do that properly, then you're wasting your time, because you do the pitch, they don't have any context, they don't understand, there's no discovery, right? In the end, B2B sales is all about the discovery. You don't want to assume anyone wants what you have to sell, because usually they don't, right? And if you come to force it too early, people scared and it goes to you, then they cannot get to them. It's a bit annoying. But in the earlier point of it, it's always about helping them see a different perspective that they haven't seen before. That's the whole way that we can sell expertise, right? Like on our first call, you'll probably ask them some questions, give them a new perspective about something. You're not saying buy my stuff. You're saying, have you considered A? Have you considered B? Why do you do C? Is this the best way to do it? So they think about it. And back to the case study that I was talking about today, the corporate gifts guy, right? In the end, I'm asking, like, so are your sales guys doing any of what I just said? And no. Then I said, okay. So how? No lah. I said, okay, so how would you like to move from here? And he said, I want to hear more about it. Then I said, okay, you want me to sell you stuff? I said, sure. Then in the end, we just move from there, right? In the end, we want to generate that desire. Like I said, the thing about B2B and B2C is people sometimes miss out on that nuance, right? That people don't want what you're selling. At the same time, even if they want it, most of the time they cannot buy it. It's not that they don't want it, they cannot buy it.
Yeah.
So when you're putting together a B2B pitch, one thing is, of course, the structure. The next thing is you need to think about all the angles that they will say no to. And make sure that you prepare that so that they have no reason to say no, but every reason to say yes. Or ask them no questions, that's all, right? Would you be opposed to moving forward on this? No. But it's move forward. Yeah, it's a Chris Voss technique, negotiation. But yeah, I think those are some of the tips. But if you can contextualize it more, I'm happy to give you more stuff.
Nice. So like usually you reach out to so I guess my next question is like, because you're most of the time reaching out to someone probably not the main decision maker. So how would you kind of maybe provide an impression or context, or like what you say, a shift, right? How would you provide this person who you have contacted the info so that this person will be able to pass on the correct, accurate info to the actual decision maker.
Got it. Okay. So two parts to it. The first thing is try your best to get the decision maker into the room. Because if you don't do that, the difficulty level is like times two.
Yeah.
It's like you got played this game called Broken Telephone before.
No, not really.
So Broken Telephone is a game. Goodness, no childhood. It's where you basically stand in a line and you one person tell this other person something and then they need to keep telling the next person
Oh, okay,
as you go
okay.
down the line. Usually by the time it reaches the end, it's a completely different thing.
That one play before.
Yeah. Correct. So that's how it works, right? So
Okay.
Broken Telephone was that way. And in real life it's the same. The miscommunication happens when you have layers.
Mm.
So now you have this other person trying to tell your thing, then you're gonna have a problem, right? So depending on your process and depending on what you're selling, this can work in two ways. One is you try to get a decision maker in. If you cannot, then never mind, bo pian, right? So you need to not only that's why B2B damn sian. You don't only need to sell, but you also have to coach this person on how he's gonna sell for you. So annoying, isn't it? So the best way to do this is, again, you've already captivated this person. Not so difficult. But you need this person to remember the top 3 or 4 points that they will then take and tell someone else about. Let me give you an example. We have this insurer client, like I was telling you, right? So our pitch to them, which got us a decent sized deal, is that look, in the end, people don't want to have full information before they buy something. If not, they won't sell do already. Very straightforward. Let's say you're selling you an investment product, right? Let's say that is today I'm an insurance agent, I'm an FC, and I want to sell you this $100,000 endowment plan. And you want it already. You decide you want it already, but that is you are married. Okay, that is you are married. Okay, you are married today. So because you're married, right? Are you gonna just spend $100,000 without telling your wife?
Obviously not.
You're scared, right? I also scared. So because of that, you have to tell her about it, right? But what are you
Yeah.
gonna say?
I'm just gonna tell her, oh, I plan to buy this.
You are
Like,
mad. You will be dead. Okay, so that's why. So in the end, as the FC, I would have given you some material, or I would have given you some talking points, 2 or 3 top level things that you will take and go and tell your wife, so that your wife will say, "Oh, sounds good. Like, not too bad." I mean, she'll be a bit suspicious, but then after that, you explain that okay lah, makes sense lah. Yeah, does she really understand it? Maybe not. Do you really understand it? Very likely also no. But you've already committed to it already, right? So that's the thing. In the end, we don't need the customer to understand so deep. Because if they really did understand it, that they do themselves already. They would have
Yeah.
done it on their own. But they will never do that. That's why they need to come to you for a solution. Usually they don't even know what the solution is, right? So we need to help them discover what it is, but at the same time, help them with the process of getting the buy-in from their decision maker. And that's the nuance that most people miss, and that's why they lose.
Mm.
And that's why the guy and his sales team, although you got 6 people, you can't get the high ticket deals because you're not pitching to the right people and you're not pitching at all. The guy never get on calls on it. Like, how do you do any work?
Mm. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, B2B. So when I first started out also, I was approaching cold emails, cold calling, and then when if you phone a random telephone you found on Google, right? Then obviously you reach out to like a customer support or like someone, probably not the decision maker. So that's the exact problem I faced lah. So I like, okay, do you want digital marketing services? Obviously, I didn't provide context at that point in time. So yeah, I can totally relate to what you have been sharing.
Yeah,
Uh,
one small thing to add here. So you said you were doing cold calls and cold emails, right?
hmm.
And when you pick up the call and you ask, do you want digital marketing services? Do they usually put down?
No, I don't straight away ask whether they want digital marketing services. I ask them. I think I'll usually do a short intro, what I do. Then of course some proof of my clientele, and then I'll ask them, okay, would you want more sales? Would you want more customers? Something along the line. I wouldn't ask them like, do you want the marketing service? Yeah, so that's what I will
Sure.
do.
So got it. So one thing I can share with you, which I mean is just something I learned recently. Like, I wanted to share with the coaching group, but I think they have the opportunity to, is you can do really non-pushy, non-salesy, organic selling cold, right? On LinkedIn, on email, by just asking illuminating questions rather than saying, hey, do you want this, or hey, do you want that? Because that's not what people want to hear. Like I said before, When you go to the shop, right? In the end, you don't want the guy like, hey, do you want to buy this running machine?
Yeah.
It's a bit odd, right? It's sort of, you want to pick the right persona of people, and you'll be, hey, let's say it's specifically for a business in this case. Let's say your business guy is doing what? Digital marketing, right? So how you can contextualize it more specifically to him and ask an illuminating question that will get your foot in the door and make him more open to hearing from you. I'll give you an example. Let's say your first contact with him, maybe you just on LinkedIn and you just connected. He don't know you, you don't know him. And I will tell you that I tried this and it has worked, so you can leverage it if you like. And this guy, of course, maybe he's your key persona lah. I mean, he's probably a small business owner. He probably hasn't really done much digital stuff or whatever, all this kind of stuff. So instead of asking, hey, do you want more leads or want more clients, right? I'll be asking maybe, hey, curious, how are you currently getting more clients online, or how are you currently getting more clients when your salespeople are unable to go out? Different, right? I'm not selling anything. And with this kind of questions, right, I've gotten people telling me back, actually, I don't have a way, leh. I got a lot of trouble, leh. Well, I love it. I love it. Then basically that's opening up the door for you
Yeah.
to come and say, hey, let's talk about it. I have some ideas to share if you're open to it. Again, I never sell anything. And they said, yes, please. There was one client, particular, like just cold. He, on the spot, he messaged, he said, can we talk now? It was a Sunday, by the way. So I was so unhappy about it. But anyway, we got on the phone, and then we already moved down the line in our conversations already.
Nice.
But that's just a simple trick that we can use. Not so much a trick, just a tip, right? That you don't want to assume that someone wants what you have. If you follow Eugene Schwartz, right? You probably
Yeah.
know unaware stage, problem aware,
Yeah.
solution aware. So we follow that, but we assume everybody is unaware most of the time. If it's a cold email, because it's cold, right? We cannot assume that they know anything about us, and they cannot assume they want anything from us also. So we come in from an angle that will be relevant to them, but sometimes doesn't even have to be relevant to what we're selling. I'll give you one more example. Let's say if you were selling investments, how would you ask this question?
I'm saying what investment planner.
Yeah, and you're selling investments, but your target audience is business owners.
I'm selling investments.
Yeah, like
How has your
you should.
returns been? How's your returns year to date has been so far?
Yeah, so you see, you're jumping the gun. You're assuming one, that they invest. You're assuming two, that they even want what you're selling. So it's very tough, right? So it's difficult. So let's say it's a LinkedIn example, and you connected with a business owner on LinkedIn. He fits your profile, rich guy, got the face, got a rich face,
Yeah.
and he run the company for maybe 5-6 years already. So maybe you could start off like, hey, good, great to get connected, blah blah blah. Then he might reply, and you may say, curious, I noticed that you run company A, right? Do you happen to have any other businesses? I know now you don't understand why I'm asking that question, but you will understand very shortly. So he may say, oh no, this is my only business. You got him already. You know why? Because he
Cash.
doesn't have an extra income stream, right? So what I would say is then, reason then he'll reply, no, I only have one. I say, I see. Reason I'm asking is because I work with a number of entrepreneurs who are in this industry. You don't even say it's like him. You just say this particular in the same industry, and they are telling me that their priorities right now are finding additional streams so that they can retire a bit earlier. Is that something that aligns to your priorities? Question mark. See, I never sell anything again, right? I'm just telling him other people say, and I thought maybe he might be same guy, and if he say no, then no, no, right? So you see, it took two stages, but from something totally unrelated, it suddenly become relevant, isn't it? Yeah, and it doesn't seem like I'm coming on too strong because he give me the information.
And he self-qualifies. He kind of
He
self-qualifies.
self-qualify himself. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So that's one way that you can do it if it's a bit, yeah, because sometimes when you're selling to businesses, like I said, the just the perspective is a bit different. Yeah.
Yeah.
That can be useful, you can try. But you're not selling insurance or investment, so it doesn't really
No.
matter.
Yeah, but good point. Definitely, definitely it can be used anywhere to start a convo, whether it's a B2B, a B2C. I mean, for maybe not B2C, but B2B definitely, whether you're doing, whether you're pitching directly to the direct decision maker or even just someone lower. So definitely useful for me. Excited to try it out.
Yeah, you also can ask like you don't have to ask like how are you doing X. You can say what are you doing to achieve X right now,
Mm,
depending on where the conversation has gone already, right?
mm. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, anyways,
Mm,
yeah, so we have been talking for about 1 hour or so. Yeah.
mm.
So anyway, yeah, man, glad to have you. Thanks for sharing so much. I love the your story and your last part. Getting sales. Yeah, man. So if let's say the audience wanna find out about you, reach out to you, where can they find you?
Sure. I hate to say this, but you can Google my name, Eugene Cheng. You'll probably find some articles and some links that you can take a look at. If not, I would love to get connected on LinkedIn. So linkedin.com/in/its Eugene. So it's like it's /in/it's Eugene, right? You can
Noted.
just search my name again and you'll be able to find me. You can go to our company website, highspark.co, or you can go to motionsource.com if you're interested in those kind of services. Otherwise, yeah, just reach me on LinkedIn would be the best place. I post, I think, 3 to 4 times a week. Sometimes useful stuff for people in B2B
Mm.
who want to acquire more clients, or if you're a sales or marketing leader that wants to have a clearer narrative so that you can convert more clients more cold prospects into leads and clients. Yeah,
Okay, nice. Yeah, so anyway, thanks for coming on for the podcast, and yeah, so let's end this right now.
it was fun. It was fun.